What makes the racehorse? An awful lot of evolution. 450 million years ago, all animals at that stage were in water, and we start getting some little tiny animals that produce a skeleton inside them. This leads on to the fish, and about 330 million years ago, one or other of those fish decided it was too crowded in there. Let's get out onto the land. We think they look pretty much like some little creatures called mud skippers today. We'll just fast forward a little bit to about 55 million years ago, and the first known origin of the horse is a little creature called Eohippus. Eohippus had the standard pentadactyl limb. This is where the horses started to develop, and from that period they'd lost the thumbs, but they had 4 toes, each encased in a little hoof. And we get to Merychippus, that we would now start to recognise as a pony-looking animal. Merychippus is already running on the single toe, but has 2 little digits with horny pads on. About 1.5 million years ago, we get to Equus, basically what looks like a Shetland pony. They're successful as a species, so they continue to grow, and about as recently as 6,000–7,000 years ago, we think they started to be domesticated. Things like milking them for delicacies. So a lot of the development of the horse came from a military background, men in armour. The horses tended to be produced as bigger, so you take the biggest and you breed with the biggest, and hopefully the offspring are bigger. There's a record of a race that was run in King Richard's time. So racing has been going on throughout. And the bottom line is, if you go racing, you want to win. This is where natural selection gives way to selective breeding. We know that racing took off really here in the UK, and it was the major centre of racing in the 1600s. We start getting stallions being brought in. Captain Byerley arrives back with the Byerley Turk, who is the fastest horse around. He was involved a certain amount in spying on the enemy camps. They could never keep up with him because his horse was much quicker than anybody else's. The Darley Arabian is brought in. He is going to be the fundamental sire. He's the one that is responsible for 95% of thoroughbreds around the world today. And then in 1720, the third one of the foundation sires was one called the Godolphin Arab. Those 3 mark the beginning of our gene pool. The age-old story of putting the best to the best and hoping for the best is still very true. The integral part of this animal is that it is a phenomenal piece of engineering. The respiratory system, the cardiovascular system, and particularly the locomotor system that has made this the supreme athlete on earth.